All right, Scott, welcome to the show, man.
Good to be here.
Appreciate you coming. We found your content. Adam was the first one. We found your content on parenting and just great advice and really resonated with us as fathers. But I want to know how you got there. Like, I want to know your story of how you got to doing what you're doing now. And off air, I was like, I want to hear your story. And like, it's wild, it's crazy. I don't know if you want to hear it. And I'm like, even more, I want to hear about that.
Now I'm interested.
Yeah, take us back a little bit.
Wild story, man. So I think for me, I have a great family. Just been super blessed. It's not like started from the bottom, now we're here kind of thing. But I'm really thankful for the life that I was raised in. So I come from 4 generations of entrepreneurial folks, strong faith, great families, and like my grandpa, just a rock star. He just passed. I got to do his eulogy. His name's Barney Beeksma, just a total stud. And I've seen countless things happen in his life, but he was the real life George Bailey. Like the movie was basically his life story. He started Whidbey Island Savings and Loan.
Oh, wow.
Back in like the late 50s. And he ended up like saving the town multiple times. It was a Navy town. And funds were going to be pulled, and he got a team together. They saved it. He stayed. He built this thing up into a multi-billion-dollar bank.
Wow!
After over 50 years, just an incredible story.
Wow!
Like just loyal, amazing man. He was married to my grandma for 67 years. Like their wisdom was just insane. Raised an awesome family. They were bedrocks in the community. I mean, I remember being 6, 7 years old, shredding papers, like just watching that happen. But the legacy they left when they sold the business in 2001, they exited to Wells Fargo for like $1.2 billion or something like that. Mm-hmm. Put almost all of it into a charitable trust.
Wow.
For widows and orphans and ministries all over the world. And they sat down the family and they're like, look, if we give you this, it will ruin you and it will terrorize your children. We've trained you up. We've set up the faith and values right. And we know you guys are set and you're good. And we're stewards of God's stuff. And we want to be giving this away to where it's needed with you. And man, I couldn't be more thankful for that.
Okay, but did you and the family feel that way when that first happened? Because I agree with that sentiment, but did you believe that? Because a lot of times we'll
they're like,
create resentment with the kids.
I mean, I'm like in high school at this point, so I didn't really know any better, but man, looking back, I'm unbelievably thankful. I've seen their life and the impact of that generosity. That's their heart. And they raised the family with capabilities and skills, with the ability to add value anywhere, with great relationships.
That's rad that the family figured this out already. That I don't think that's common that happens in a family and there's not resentment and animosity and you screwed me and how dare you not pass it down on your kid. Yeah,
I'll tell you where that does happen is in families that do have millions or billions. Now adults are fighting over it. Now siblings sue each other. Later in life, they're waiting for grandma and grandpa to die. Now that's a miserable golden year. See, I call it adult entitlement. Like you're just literally waiting for someone to go. Well, we'll get the house, we'll get the assets, we'll get whatever they have when they go. And then guess what? So then you don't risk, you don't grow, you don't take opportunities, you don't go for it. And then they live 20 years longer.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And you're sitting around waiting. That happens all the time. And then you fight over stuff. Who gets what? How are we doing this? And then that's the focus. Who wants to die? Like knowing that their kids and grandkids are just waiting for them to go to get all their stuff and fight over it.
Yeah.
So they let you know ahead of time that this was the plan that they were going to do, so you guys didn't have that expectation.
Almost all of the top families in the world that I've been studying for 15 years do that. They set up heritage, not inheritance. It's more about what you leave in your kids than to them. That's the point of everything I've studied. And I come from an awesome family, but my family probably did 30% of all of the incredible strategies and recipes that we've been studying from the best in the world. But one of the biggest similarities from the best families, and by the way, can I explain what a best family means?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
Everyone thinks it's the billionaires. Everyone thinks it's the richest families, like the Vanderbilts and Roosevelts and things like no.
Rockefellers and
Like that is not actually who we study. I'm on Zoom every week with a billionaire who would give it all up tomorrow, right now, actually, to fix a problem in the family, an estrangement issue, an addiction issue, a mental health problem with a kid, a problem with their spouse and family and relatives, the nightmares. Those, what we would rather do is help families not have 1,000 sleepless nights later in life. And there's no amount of money that can fix that. You have to focus on heritage. And so what we study were families that the kids blew by the adults every generation in the ways that matter. So for like 3, 4, 5 generations in a row, the kids are growing past the parents in like the values of the family and beliefs, the mindsets and skill sets for success, relational depth. Like they have stronger, deeper family relations in their own family, each generation. Impact in the world. Yes, financial competency is part of this, adding value. That's obviously a part of the skill sets. But you have to think about those things being transferred from generation to generation. If you don't focus on those pieces and you just focus on what's my net worth when I'm dead so I can have a legacy, you're missing all the things that matter. And you're going to ruin the legacy because that creates trust fund kids. That creates imposter syndrome. That creates like a Willy Wonka golden ticket kid who doesn't know how to manage it or earn it or create value with it. Right? Like it's actually terrifying when somebody who's incapable and unqualified gets a large sum of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
That wreaks havoc. A friend of mine, Jordan Peterson, do you know what he said? The only thing that keeps addicts out of the gutter is being broke. Being dead in the gutter is being broke. That's a big deal. So we that's why we call it heritage. It's like a last name that means something. You've got to give your kids values, deep relationship, emotional strength, resiliency, capabilities for the world. That's what matters at the end. So I say take inheritance and invest it in heritage. Then it doesn't matter what you leave them because it's not their identity. It's not going to ruin them. It's not even going to be that much better. Like that, you want to make it irrelevant because you've nailed the heritage piece. And on your deathbed, you're like, I'm so proud. Like they've blown by me in every way I could ever imagine.
I absolutely love this conversation and had no idea this was where this was going to go, because when I'm asked what is my greatest fear or what do I think the most about as a father right now, is that my son is growing up in such a different environment than I did. And what I mean by that is I'm fully aware of all the adversity that I had to go through as a child, built me into the animal that I am today.
Yep.
And the person that I love and all the things that I've accomplished. And there's no way I think I become that if I didn't have to go through all those things that built those characteristics. And so I think about every day, okay, my son's not having to deal with those things. So how am I giving him the same skill sets that I developed? But I'm not going to obviously put him through the shit that I had to go through, because that would be horrible parenting too. And I absolutely don't want to just leave him what I've built, because then he misses out on all that thing. And so how does somebody in my position do that well? Like, how do I build a better version of me without all the trauma that I had to go through to become that? I think about that every single day.
Yeah. So that's a great question. Have you ever heard of the teeter-totter? Parents often teeter-totter to the polar opposite of how they were raised.
Yeah. Of course.
And instead of being balanced like a scale, they teeter-totter. So if you were raised with nothing and you went through hard knock, paycheck to paycheck, strife, abuse, trauma, well, your natural tendency is to say, I'm going to do anything possible to make sure my kids don't have to go through that. I'm going to give them all the things I never had. I am going to solve every problem so they can have every opportunity and all the fun things that I never got. You bubble wrap them.
For sure.
You entitle them. You spoil the heck out of them. because you love them and you desperately want to repel what you were raised in, you fall to the other side. The teeter-totter flips the scale, right? And it needs to be balanced. It needs to be a balanced approach. And so, I call it money trauma. Nobody talks about money trauma because there's a lot of other traumas. But I think money trauma is one of the worst because, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I do because, and one of the things I talk about being a 40-year-old, I didn't have my son until I was 40. So if I would have had my kid at 25, I was still going through my insecurities around money. So my money trauma, because I didn't have any. And then by the time my mid-20s, I had quite a bit already. I was successful at a young age. Had I had a kid at 26, I would have allowed all those insecurities to bleed into my kid. In fact, I for sure would have had the kid in Gucci shoes and the mongoose bike and done all. I would have poured all that. And the way I would have justified it is I didn't have it. I worked so hard so he could have it. And I would have wrapped it in that. Now, luckily, I worked through a lot of that trauma and those insecurities. And I recognize that as a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have if I would have had kids in my 20s.
It's wild what we do out of love for our kids.
Yeah.
We bubble wrap them. And the answer is not tough love. The answer is not withholding from them and being a drill sergeant. That's not the answer. The answer is setting up a system where your kids actually become anti-fragile. They learn to solve their own problems. They learn to pay for things. You don't just jump in and fix everything for them, right? You set up systems in the home where they're learning skills and they're learning to create value. They're learning to cope. They're learning to do the dishes and do the laundry and handle emotional situations. When you jump in and solve all the problems, then they don't know how to solve them in the future, right? And then you have to be their savior for the next 5 decades.
Today's program giveaway is MAP's Powerlift. If you want to win, leave a comment below this video. In the first 24 hours that we drop it, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comments section. Also, ladies, go take our free quiz. See what avatar you fall under. Get some personalized advice. It's free. Go to musclemommymovement.com/quiz. Back to the show. You grew up in a really, really good family, and you talk about passing heritage down and values. What were the values and heritage that your family passed down to you that now you try to extend out to your children? And how did they do that?
Yeah, strong faith was huge for us. Trusting God. That's one of the biggest ones in our family. Discipline was big. Respect is huge. Service of other people is huge. We actually have these values in our family. So one of the things we do in Fig and Eagle, our training program, is we help families create what we call the core word. And everybody thinks they have a list of values, right? But could your kids rattle them off? Very few people have that. Most businesses don't have values that anybody remembers. How does a family do that? So what we do is we create this core word that literally activates the values in the home. And so the core word makes it seamless. You don't have to put energy into it. Like the kids talk about it, your teenagers talk about it, they live it out, you correct to it. So for our family, it's a reflection of how I was raised, but our values in our family, we call it faith, family, and F.I.S.H. So F.I.S.H. stands for, that's our core word. F.I.S.H. stands for fun and adventure, integrity, service, and hard work, which we now call heavenly work, because it's not just about hustling and driving and killing yourself. It's about doing things for a purpose, for glorifying the Lord, right? So faith, family, and F.I.S.H., our kids literally say at a dinner every night. It's a way for us to pass on those values, and they say them. They're talking about the stories of the day that match the values of the family, not us. We're not making them do anything. You see how that turns it alive? So those were the values that we were raised in. Like my parents adopted, when we came up with faith, family, F.I.S.H., they just said, yeah, we love that. That's going to be the Donnell thing.
Most importantly is how your kids see you act and behave more so than what you say. How does that look in action? Because I know a lot of times as parents, we try to teach our kids a particular way, but then they see our behavior. It's like the parent that smokes that tells their kid, don't smoke, it's bad for you, right?
Do as I say.
Yeah. So what does it look like behavior-wise? And then the first thing that comes to mind for me is when you're raising your kids in a particular way and you start to identify things in yourself that need to be worked on. Like if you don't work on you, it ain't gonna happen with them.
Yeah, there's so much here.
Well, let's start with them. You said it was faith. Family.
Faith, family, and fish. These are our values, and everybody comes up with their own values and core word. But
so, how do they see faith in action with your family?
Yeah, so for us, let me just share your story. So I just talked to a family recently. Dad's in tears. Man of faith. They worked really hard to put their 2 kids through school, college. One's 23, one's 25. The 23-year-old, massively in debt, feels they're just giving up. Their credit card debt, they're just like totally checked out. Like something hit them where like they're being taken down by a bunch of stuff and they just are giving up. And it's crushing him. The 25-year-old completely walked away from the family faith, walked away from the values, walked away from the political views, walked away from everything, and is going the other direction. And dad is literally crushed. And he's like, what did I do wrong? We worked our butts off. We got him into the best schools, private school. In fact, we were in the good zip code. We were in the extracurriculars. We were in all the camps. We were in all the sports. We made him go to church on Sunday. Like we're sitting in the pews. Where did I go wrong? And I just kind of out of nowhere, I was like, let me just ask you a random question. Did you ever like open the Bible at the dinner table and just read a verse and just be like, here's what this means to me and here's what I'm going through right now. What do you guys think about this? See, that's faith in action. That is actually discipleship. That's passing on these things to your kids. So many parents outsource parenting without realizing it because they're looking around and comparing with everybody else and they have to have their kids in the best everything. And so they hope that the schools can teach all the things that they need to learn, that the sports can teach them the discipline, that the extracurriculars or the tutoring or the camps can get them all the skills they need for life, that church teaches them God. They outsource the parenting. And I think it's one of the most destructive things we can do. Those things aren't bad in of themselves, but these things are learned around the dinner table, not a desk, right? And so many parents are just trying to outsource and get by and give their kids every leg up possible. But the greatest transformations of a kid happen in the home with mom and dad. So faith, that's a good example. Is like just telling your kids where you're at, praying over them, like asking them, like, how are they feeling? And then praying for that. Kids keep faith when they see it modeled in the home, when they see parents wrestling with things, talking about how they're feeling, talking about what God's doing in their life. Kids keep faith when they see prayers answered. Okay? That's because it's modeled. And the same is true with every other value. If you're not modeling it in the home, they're not going to take it for the rest of their life.
With some of these things, are fathers more impactful than mothers and vice versa, depending on what we're talking about? Like, do fathers have a bigger, I've seen data on faith, for example, and when the father practices faith, the influence on the children is so much higher. And then when it comes to empathy, mom's influence tends to be much stronger. Like, do you see that in some of these things? And how do you work together with your wife to implement these things? 'Cause it's not the same for both of you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely a team. It's got to be a team. Fathers have so many advantages being in the home. I mean, look at every major stat, from mental health to teenage pregnancy levels going way down to addiction issues to like if a child is raised without daddy issues, then they will not be walking around for the rest of their life with 100 pounds in a backpack. That's clear. But a mom has an essential role as well. The nurture and the care and the love. Like, people say God's a he from the Bible, that they just use the masculine verse, but God he's not man or woman. He has both aspects of a loving mother and a loving father, a protective father, right? A providing father. So all these things are true with the Lord, and both parents are a symbol of that love from God to a kid. So you need both, right? That's why it's like, man, if people are separated or they're in a single parent home or someone passed away from cancer or something like that, my advice is get other men or women that you trust around your kids as much as you can. Every kid needs that. They need both sides. And the more you do that, we call it the teenage hack, right? In a kid's teenage years, they need both sides somewhere, whether it's a coach or a mentor or an advisor or somebody who's like a trusted friend that they can kind of feel like is like another dad or an uncle. That stuff is critical because every parent needs those people in their teenage kids' lives so that those people can reinforce what they care about most. You guys ever told your kids something for like many years and then somebody else that they like and admire says it?
Brilliant.
And they come back and tell you and you're like, I've been telling you this for a decade, but you don't say that. You're like, tell me more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Happens all the time.
All the time.
Did you ever go through a period of rebellion with your family, and how did they respond to it? There's a lot of debate with people who talk about parenting in regards to discipline or punishment, or that's the part where you'll see people who really care.
Yeah.
This is where you tend to sometimes see people get divided. They all love their kids. They want to do what's right. They all really care. But then when you talk about discipline and punishment, how you deal with like teenage rebellion versus toddlers, that's where you start to see some separation. Like what does that look like?
Yeah.
What have you studied?
Yeah.
And what have you seen?
Yeah, and again, my family did great. No one's perfect. Everyone has issues growing up. Like everyone thinks that the top families we've been studying forever are perfect. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Every single family I've ever worked with has crazy somewhere. That's not every family. That's literally part of being family. But the key is how you bounce back from things. The key is how you reconnect after things happen. The key is how you move through them with the right principles. And that's what we've been trying to accumulate, is like the best strategies and principles to help you navigate the pain or the trials that come, right? Because, man, we're just trying to save people 1,000 sleepless nights. That's the whole thing. So this idea of discipline, I'll say two things on this. The first one is there's a big difference between discipline and punishment.
Right. That was a question I was going to ask you.
We don't punish our children. It's not punitive. It's discipline. Discipline is an act of love. Discipline, like a choice and a consequence, right? If kids make certain choices, they know there's certain consequences. Our job is, because we love them, we're going to enforce the consequences so that they learn the repercussions of their actions. We do that out of love. Right? And so discipline is an act of love for our children. Now, I'm not going to get into spanking or not because there's so many people that disagree on this one.
Sure.
Spare the rod, lose the child.
Right.
Well, here's what I will say. No matter what you do in discipline, you need to discipline your children. Okay? Don't let your kids do things that make you dislike them. Okay? We need to discipline our children. It's good to have boundaries. It's good to have structures. It's good to have high expectations. But we meet that with high edification and high support and love and training. You have to have both. The best coaches in the world, high edification and high expectation.
How do you prevent raising a kid that just does things the right way because they're scared of the punishment?
Yeah.
Or because they just want to people please?
Yeah.
I've seen that before, right? The kid that just wants to people please, and so they become they lie a lot. They hide things a lot. They become that adult that seems to have everything in line, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of things that aren't so good because they learn that skill as a kid. Or the person that just does things right when everyone's looking because they're afraid of the punishment.
Yeah. Well, the number one thing I say about discipline is your job in discipline is to connect with their heart. Never lose the connection with their heart. See, like if a parent's like, if they immediately, when they see kids doing something wrong, like spank them and send them off to their room, you're breaking the connection with their heart, the relationship, okay? What needs to be done is love in the middle of discipline. You never discipline out of anger, right? You never use it as manipulation to them or coercion, because then they'll use that back at you. That's how people please, right? And so if the goal is to keep the heart, then the discipline happens at the end of every cycle of discipline. You go in, perform like, hey, do you know why this is happening? Okay. Then there's whatever the consequence is going to be with them. And then there's an element of forgiveness, apology and forgiveness and reconnection of the heart. Like every time my kid says, I'm sorry, Daddy, I'm like, God forgives us. How could I not forgive you? Of course I forgive you. I love you. Now let's go make this right. You're connecting with their heart. Never lose the heart, right? And so we can be very good at helping our kids grow through good discipline. But when you are doing it out of frustration, or you're just like breaking them off from the family and sending them away, you're losing that heart. So then you get people who people please. Then you get kids that become really defiant, like hardened hearts against you. A lot of people have a defiant kid. I have one, right? When you lose the heart connection, it's very easy to lose the kid, especially a defiant child.
Especially as they grow up. At some point, they're going to be an adult or... the forgiveness one's a big one. One thing that my wife did a while ago that really I see the fruit of now is if my kids say sorry, even if it's like a sorry, a lot of times parents are like, say it like you mean it.
Yeah.
Immediately she accepts it. Thanks, honey.
Yeah.
The other part of that is and I've seen this in my house. We say sorry when we mess up to our kids.
That's right.
How important is that? How important is it for your kids for you to show them?
It's essential.
Why?
If we don't model it, they're not going to live it out. And every parent messes up at some point. They lose it. They forget things. They screw up. And us modeling apology and please forgive me is one of the greatest things we can do for our children. It binds us back to them. Okay. In fact, the number one question I get asked these days when coaching families is this: where were you 20 years ago?
Wow.
I wish I'd have known what you're talking about 20 years ago. Because now we have this problem, this issue, this nightmare, this separation or estrangement or issue in the marriage or issue with all these things. They think it's too late. I'm like, no, it's never too late. Like what we teach are principles, not prescriptions. It's never too late. Every setback in your life is actually a setup if you can reframe and see it that way. And the first thing that we usually have like if you have adult children, there's tons of issues, is work on repentance and forgiveness. Write them a letter of the things that you know that you messed on and do a deep dive on the things that you screwed up on. Worked too much, treat them this way, held against them this way, dealing with your own issues, right? That is the first step usually with families with older children that are really struggling.
I was just trying to look on my phone to remember what book it was, what parenting book that I was reading this, but it's similar to this conversation around discipline. And the framework that they use is like what they teach your kids is repair the relationship. So in any situation where a kid does something, misbehaves, doesn't listen to mom or dad, there's damage done to a relationship. And so at the core of the discipline or the problem is that you just dishonored mom, or you just did this, you hurt that person at school or like that. And it's like, what I care about in the disciplining portion is repairing the relationship.
That's right.
And so versus a punishment of you're grounded for 2 weeks, it's no, what you're going to do is go take that person to lunch and go talk to them about what you did and repair that relationship. And so you're teaching them a very similar to what you're talking about right now, that valuable lesson of repentance and then repair on relationships, because when someone does something wrong, typically there's another person on the other end of that where damage was done. And that's the more important lesson.
That's right. And there's another level to discipline too, that we teach that we learn from some of these top families. Almost all discipline in the home stems from a lack of training. Think about that for a minute. I believe that. Almost all discipline stems from a lack of training. Okay? Discipline usually is a reactive answer to a lack of training. So the more we can be proactive and train our children, it reduces the amount of disciplinary cycles that we have to go through, because the goal is not to just figure out the right way to discipline your children. The goal is to create children who are self-disciplined. And self-disciplined children have been trained. Self-disciplined children know what's expected of them. They have all of the support and the resources and the habits to be trained on their own. See, that is the core of what we teach in our Courage series. How do you raise a child to be anti-fragile? The word anti-fragile is one of the my favorite words in the whole world, because it's the self-disciplined kids that's a symptom of being anti-fragile. Can you imagine? What if you imagine just your kids start doing things around the home before being told?
Yeah, one
That's
of the questions,
the holy grail of every parent.
One of the questions I had for you was how to build resiliency in your child, which would be the same thing as having an anti-fragile kid.
Yep.
This episode is brought to you by Vuori. You know who they are, but with our link, you'll get 20% off. Go to vuoriclothing.com/mind pump. Back to the show.
What do those beginning steps look like? What are those conversations or those practices that, I'm doing with my 6-year-old to help build that resiliency or help build him into this anti-fragile kid?
Yeah, so I'll walk you through what we call one of our frameworks, okay? So we have we call it the C4 framework in our family training. We have core values, connection, capability, and courage. Those are the 4 C's that all of the best principles and strategies from all of the top families we've ever studied could go into those 4. And we just make it a year-round program. So people join for a year, they go through the 4 C's, 1 a quarter, we implement them in the home together. It's that simple. So during the Courage series, the goal that we're talking about is anti-fragile, okay? So here's the framework on courage. Because courage means, to me, doing hard things, making big decisions, and leaving everything better around you. That's how I define courage, okay? And I love the word courage, by the way, because courage is the only virtue needed to help every other virtue be learned. At the testing point of learning every character trait or every virtue that you could ever try to give your kids, they need courage at the testing point to grow that virtue. Make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why courage is one of our first principles, C's. It's one of our core tenets. And so courage, let's think about it. How do you build kids to be resilient? How do you build them to be anti-fragile, which is the next level up from resilient, right? Because everyone's like grit, discipline, resilience. Well, okay. You ever heard of the cow and the buffalo story?
No.
Okay. So when a storm comes,
one goes towards it, the other one goes.
the cow runs away. Okay. Scared.
Mm-hmm.
The cow is like, I got to get away from the storm. And then the storm overtakes them and they're in the storm way longer.
Yeah, because they're running with it.
That's right. The buffalo has this freak thing in their brain that just runs straight at storms. So they see the storms coming on the plains and they take off at the storm. And by running through the storm, they get through it way faster. Mm-hmm. But there's another animal that's even better. So that's a good story of resilience and grit and discipline. We got to get our kids to be running at the storms. There's a better animal for this analogy. It's the eagle. When a storm comes, the eagle is the only animal with wings that are strong enough to updraft.
Soar over it.
To go over the storm. They literally can soar up to like tens of thousands of feet above a storm because their wings are that strong. They're the only animal that uses a storm to get stronger. That is the picture of moving from discipline and resilience to being anti-fragile. So in our families, we want to work on helping our kids use struggle and issues and problems that come their way to get stronger afterwards. Not just grit your teeth and bear it and make it through, but get better. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Mm-hmm.
So here's the framework. We call it the coach versus caretaker framework. Stop reading parenting books, start reading coaching books. All these parenting books are getting deep dives into emotional stuff, which is important. Deep dives into gentle parenting, positive parenting, free-range parenting, helicopter parenting, for God's sakes. I would much rather we read better coaching books because our job is to coach our kids up, right? It's proactive. It's really good mentorship. If you don't learn to coach well and mentor well, then you can't transfer and translate all of these values to your kids, okay? So coach versus caretaker is our framework on how to teach this. Most families get stuck in caretaker mode way too long, and they don't move to coach. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
How many parents, maybe it's the mom, maybe it's the dad, They find identity in solving all the kids' problems, giving them the best life humanly possible, solving all their issues, paying for everything, not helping the kids learn on their own, not coaching them up. They're caretaking them. The word caretaker is used, it's supposed to be used for when old people are in a nursing home dying. And your job as a caretaker is to remove all obstacles from their path, remove pain, remove issues so that they can die peacefully. There's no growth. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we as parents, it's a great way to think about it. We want to move to coach. How do you move to coach? High expectations, right? These are standards for your kids, and high edification. This is training and support and encouragement. The greatest coaches in the world, right? They have high expectations and high edification. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you have neither, you're in the caretaker box, and that just raises entitled victims. But what if you are in the high edification, but not the high expectation?
Helicopter parent.
Well, think about it. I have all of the nurturing, I have all of the love and support, but I'm not setting expectations. Right. I'm not showing them where they can go and setting the standards and believing in them and pushing them in that direction. Yeah. I'm a coddler.
Yeah, no motivation, yeah.
Yeah, a pleaser. It actually raises kids with a failure to launch problem. It raises people pleasers. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's a big issue. You got to work on the expectations and the boundaries and standards that you hold them to. Mm. And if you treat a kid 2 years older than they are, they always rise to the occasion. Mm. That's about expectations. Now let's flip it. What if you have super high expectations, but not the edification and love and support and training? Well, Who are you?
Yeah, terrible relationship.
Rebellious.
You're a dictator.
Yeah, dictator. Yeah. Drill sergeant.
Yeah.
That's it. Tough love.
Terrible outcomes too. When
you have a trophy. You have a trophy family that will never call you when they leave. They won't come back. You probably won't see your grandkids much ever. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Very capable. They're going to win at all costs, but you're raising vultures. They will win, but at what expense? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why you need both. And I believe that courage is built when kids are coached right. So they're solving their own problems. We just went to Zambia with the kids. I took my 9 and my 7-year-old to Zambia like a month and a half ago. It was wild. Like, we didn't just go for a tourist thing. We went into the bush, like no roads, 6 hours outside of Sonoma, like on sand. We're cutting down trees in this huge Gladiator truck with our friends who also brought their 2 younger kids. And we went and did like a missions trip, like helping them with clean water and sharing like the love of Jesus with them and praying over them. And like, it was nuts. Well, for starters, the whole trip, my 9 and 7-year-old ran the show. We get to the airport. I'm like, actually started packing. They're doing the packing. Then we get to the airport. I'm like, all right, guys, what's up? What are we doing? How do we get there? We got a long trip, 40 hours. They had to go to the desk, figure out everything. They're literally like, we got to go to Zambia. They yell at the British Airways person. Person's like, nice to meet you. They're laughing. Well, I guess, can I see your ID? My son's like, I don't have an ID. Yeah. It was awesome. So they get the tickets. They check in the bags. We go through TSA. They're solving their own problems. They're going through customs. And I'm just there, like, watching, asking questions. And everyone's like, you're crazy. This is ridiculous. And yeah, maybe it took us 20 minutes longer the whole time. But my kids just learned 10 skills. Mm-hmm. My kids know how to travel internationally in 2nd grade. Okay? And it's funny. It's hilarious. It's fun. They're pumped to figure it out. They're finding the gates. They're finding everything. They found out how to get to the person that was meeting us in Zambia, where people didn't really speak English. I mean, it was awesome. So that's the kind of thinking of how you can build anti-fragile children. Okay.
And meanwhile, you're coaching them through this whole process. If they need it. Yeah. If they need it.
Oh yeah, they went the wrong way like 4 times. And I'm like, I know we're going the wrong way, but they're going to learn a great lesson from this. How often do we as parents actually let that happen?
Yeah. And then it becomes bigger things
little.
later on if we don't.
That's right.
If we don't. You have 7 and 9-year-olds, so you're getting close to the age where the internet and smartphones become a thing and a challenge. And this is something that none of us in this room really grew up with.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different challenge. I have 4 kids, but my 2 oldest, I was like nonchalant about it. It was like a new thing, and I'm like, whatever. I watch TV all the time. Not the same thing. My 2 younger ones are much more careful with the whole process. How do you feel about smartphones and access to the internet, and what does that look like as your kids get older? Because once they get access to it, then taking it back just becomes a challenge.
Yeah, we cover this in our Connection series, big time. In fact, one of my secret lives is running an anti-human trafficking group with Tebow. It's now one of the largest in the whole world, and we use tech to fight.
I donate to that organization.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
We use technology to fight. We've got over 200 people and organizations and hackers and like the best in the world. So I secretly am a world-class expert in technology and the problems of it with our kids. Did you know that the average 12-year-old has released about 800 times as much dopamine like if you compare them to us at that age?
Yeah.
800 times us?
More.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dopamine, the addictive chemical.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is that just because we're more desensitized as we've gotten older, and at the early age it's primed and hit like crazy?
Because they're on their smartphones.
Every screen, not just smartphones, but everything. iPads, TVs, Netflix, video games, even educational tech. It is triggered to create addiction.
Yep.
It is built to create addiction.
Yeah.
When you swipe up on anything, it is the same as pulling a slot machine. Yeah. The same release of chemicals in your brain.
You know what's crazy about this, Scott, is that it's so wild. Even TV has changed dramatically.
Yes.
So I have 2 little ones, and I'll put on Mr. Rogers. That's what I grew up watching.
Yep.
If you watch Mr. Rogers today, it is painfully slow.
Yeah.
It is painfully slow. In fact, I'll let my kids watch as much as they want because they turn it off.
Right.
They'll watch it and they're like, I'm done with this.
That's right.
But you put on Coco Melon or one of these other, and it's like quick, switch. And it is engineered to do exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
it is absolutely wild.
Coco Melon is a great example.
Yes.
Everyone's doing this, but Coco Melon, did you guys know the story?
Yeah, I know the research that's
Oh
gone
my
in,
gosh.
the research that they have and money they have spent on
Pure evil.
Yes.
They literally sat 3-year-olds down to stare at the screen, and whenever their eyes bounced to the giraffes in National Geographic,
changed something right there.
They would put another jump cut in. They realized that, so when we were young, the average cartoon from the 80s, the 90s, whatever, Darkwing Duck, like whatever it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's a great one.
The average jump cut, early Superman or Spider-Man stuff from the 80s or 70s was 10 seconds. Okay? The average jump cut with Coco Melon is 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Clip to clip to clip to clip.
Wow.
Even if one person's talking, you're going to change it to someone else. Then they realized, because that hooks their brain and addicts their brain and releases more of the chemical. Yeah. Then they realized if they use gamma colors, so high variation of colors, it literally locks in their brain. Like when we were young, we used to see like these evil Magneto people having this like crazy thing come out of the screen of black and white, and everyone's like zoned in like a zombie, and they hypnotize you. That's literally happening. But you don't realize it. Everyone says, oh, well, I can't have Snapchat. Okay, well, yeah, it's probably a bad idea, but it's everything. It's happening on video games. It's happening on Netflix. It's happening on any screen. And then you realize, you wonder why your kid goes into fight or flight survival mode the moment that you turn it off. It's because you just ripped away the drug. So they lose their minds. It's withdrawal. So there is so much here about the addictive nature of these phones. We have moved in our society away from parents saying, go outside. Now it's go online. And it's happening in mass. One of my friends in our community said the other day, she said, because she has 3 teenage boys that are now late teens, she said, man, if I could go back, the stuff they saw that we didn't know about, the moment you give your child a smartphone, you are saying goodbye to their childhood. And that struck me when a mother says that about older teenagers. And it really, really, it impressed me deeply because she's right. People don't realize the access you give your children. Like, let's just talk about explicit for a second, explicit content. It's not actually when you give your kids a smartphone that they see these things for the first time. The stats are not there. The stats show that maybe 80 to 90% is what we think. 80 to 90% of the time that young boys especially will see explicit content for the first time is at a play date, at a friend's house or a sleepover, or on the playground, if a school still has the ability a kid sneaks a phone, from an older sibling of one of their friends. That is most of where the first interaction comes.
Those faces of death for me growing up.
We can all just think back, and
it was always an older brother.
His older
It was
brother
always an older
exposure.
sibling.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as accessible.
That's right. That's why we don't do sleepovers, period. I study the stats on grooming and sexual assault of young people, and nope, we just don't do it. It's not a rule in our home at all. Like, we'll do play dates with trusted families, very trusted, but we just don't do it. It's not worth the risk. So there's so much here. We work on safety on phones. We work on protecting kids. One of our groups is building the first pornographic incompatible phone.
Oh, wow.
It's like a firmare update that goes onto a smartphone.
Wow.
Where you literally can't ever see anything. Like, the filters can't be turned off. You can't send a picture on Snapchat, an explicit image, or you can't receive one. You can't have grooming information. One of the companies is called GameSafe. They will scan the phone for everything that's said, texts or messages or anything to your children or teenagers or even adult kids on your plan. Anything that looks like grooming, that looks like maybe it's like a 16-year-old boy talking to your daughter or something, it will flag everything that matches any algorithm of grooming, and it will block them, and we'll send a notice to mom and dad. It's brilliant.
So
That's how we protect them. But I mean, honestly, the first default is later the better.
yeah.
Start with a flip phone or an Apple Watch if you just need to get a hold of them or know where they are, and go as long as you can before giving them a smartphone. And when you give them smartphones, make sure that there's protection. But just know that kids are smarter than you at technology. They know how to get around anything. 85% of young people know how to access an old piece of tech in the home without you even knowing.
I mean, I think you said it really well. It's just a great way to look at it is just say goodbye to their childhood as soon as you do that. So when you look at your kid, whatever age you decide, is that an age that you're ready to say goodbye to their childhood?
That's right.
And I think that's enough right there to probably stop a lot of parents in their tracks and go like, you know what, I could wait another year or two before I do that.
The big challenge with that is, and this has always been a challenge, but especially now, right, is you're trying to do this with your kids, and they're like, but mom, dad,
Everybody else.
all my friends, I'm left out. This is how my friends communicate. This is how we talk. Now I don't have this, and I can't hang out with anybody. I can't talk with anybody. And this is, for me, at one point, this was like a big, like, what am I going to do with my younger ones? Because and what I did is I found families that believe in the same thing, who
That's
have
right.
kids. Then they're around other kids. Otherwise, it's a uphill battle. And when they're a certain age, adolescents, like, their friends are more influential on them than you are.
That's right.
So it's like you got to pick pick good families who.
That
if your kid doesn't have a phone and their friends don't have a phone, it's all good.
That's it. Your inner circle means more than almost anything else you'll do outside your home. That picking the right families that have the same values, right? So what we do is we do this inner circle exercise where you write down the top 10 qualities of the families you want to surround yourself with, and then you find them. It's as simple as that, because you are who the 5 people you spend the most time around, and their friends have a correlation to you, and then the friends of their friends have a correlation to you as well. Your network is everything. It's not just your net worth; it's your legacy. Okay, and this even gets deeper. I mean, I was talking to some friends who were like, we literally moved. We straight up moved. Our 12-year-olds started getting in the bad rooms, bad groups.
Yep.
We literally moved. Best decision we ever made. And I was like, more power to you. Like, we have to be as protective as humanly possible on this.
Yeah, we moved schools. It's just something you got to consider, like what's best for them and their experience, because it does influence them so much.
There's a study that we did. We did a survey on our teenagers. Who's your mentor? who's your closest mentor in your life? The majority of them said something that was not even someone they know.
It was some
Somebody,
YouTuber, or
someone online.
Oh God.
It was
My
a-
son, not to say dad, would crush me.
Well, just think about what they're looking at all the time. YouTubers, influencers, Twitch streamers that have their 24/7, their life online. It's like, I don't want my kid to be that person.
No.
I don't want them following those people's values. Like, this is wild. Their top mentor is a digital name that they've never met, but they've consumed 100 hours of their content. It's a wild thought. So that's why, like you said, friends and your inner circle are critical.
What's helped me a lot with this understanding later is I understood this in the field that I have expertise in, which is health and fitness. One thing that I've understood for a long time with health and fitness that for some reason I never expanded out to other things, I just understood it for health and fitness, is if you want to be fit and healthy, you're going to be different. You're not going to live like most people. You're not going to eat like most people. You're not going to sit around like most people. If you do what most people do, you are not going to have good health. You're not going to be fit. That's just the nature, or that's just the world. That's true for everything.
Yeah.
So the thing that I think people need to accept that's really helped me a lot is because that's the part that's hard. Is like, we're different. Oh my God, we don't fit in. My kids' friends are over here and those parents over there do that. And it's like, well, yeah, you got to be you're going to be different, because if you're like everybody else, talk about the stats. This is wild. This is the first time we've seen, I saw this data not that long ago. This is the first time we've seen the younger generation have more anxiety and depression than the older generations. We've never seen that before.
Yeah.
It's always been like, middle age is where you get the kind of peak of that. Now we're seeing this peak with teenagers. Talk about that a little bit and what's maybe causing that.
Yeah. So we have we did a ton of research on our family stuff. And we have this thing called the 4 family forces. These are the 4 destructive forces that are attacking our culture. Okay. I'll just go briefly through the 4. All right. Because we don't have time. We do this like in a 2-hour unpack for people. The first of the 4 is the dopamine distortion I talked about. Okay. The access of advertisers like never before. We are the product. When you don't know what someone's selling, you're what they're selling. Okay. What's going on with screens and technology and the easy button for families. Tech's become the easy button, right? Like you're saying, I got to do laundry. I got to cook something. I need a break. Like they just throw the phone. And the lower the income level, the higher the percentage of time on screens for the kids.
Interesting. I didn't know that stat.
Because they
don't have as much time.
They don't have the margin.
Yeah.
They don't have the other stuff that can be done. Like, it's just tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
And we have a ton of empathy for them. And so that's why we help train on like other ways to help the kids learn and grow and help you, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, do more with the kids than for them. Like, don't turn on a screen so you can cook dinner. Cook with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Don't turn on a screen so you can do laundry and clean up. Just have a minute. Do it with them.
Yep.
And the more that you're getting self-disciplined trained kids, now they're helping take the load off of you.
And you could do that at such an early age. I was doing that with Max when he was just barely walking around.
It's fun.
That's right.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yes.
And it's so freeing for parents.
Yeah.
So dopamine distortion is the first force. What does dopamine distortion create? It creates kids who are isolated, and it creates kids who are fearful. Because that's what happens with all the technology. That's the 2 things that happens. Those are 2 building blocks of all the anxiety issues. Second force is the anti-family force. There's so much going on in culture against family. Parents' rights are trying to be ripped away like crazy.
It's wild.
Okay, school has replaced the home for a lot of families. I'll just give you an example. When we were growing up, home improvement was the top show. 2 parents, boys in the home, real conversation, a neighbor, Wilson, across the fence that you couldn't see his mouth, but they were friends and he's giving advice and they actually knew their neighbor. Traditional home. Then fast forward a decade, what's the top show in the world? Friends.
Yeah.
Go inner city, no mention of parents, no mention of real siblings unless it's a joke line, a punchline. Don't get married, don't have kids, that's a waste, live your own life. That happened from the 80s to the 90s. Then we get into Seinfeld, same thing. These are the top shows for decades in our culture. The family force, the family focus has been ripped apart, okay? And what does that cause with kids? But by the way, you can have an infinite amount of identities and genders. You can have all these, you just rip truth out of the ground. Okay, there is no truth, in fact. Truth,
You are your truth.
you are your truth, which is so ironic.
Destructive.
It's so contradictory to what truth actually is. For truth to be truth, something has to be an exclusive statement, or else it's not true anymore. There's no such thing as 1 + 1 = 2 and 1 + 1 = 3. Those are not both true. Those are mutually exclusive statements. Now, you both might be wrong, but they're mutually exclusive statements. So the anti-family force is getting stronger by the day, and especially with big companies who have access to our children, because they know that if they can rip them away from the family, then they are now the product and they can make more money off of them. Okay? So that causes rudderlessness and confusion. You see where I'm going?
Yeah. I mean, I determine my own path. I determine my own destiny. I determine everything about myself, my happiness.
Yeah.
That is confusing. By the way, you'll never get the answer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then when you get older, like, don't get married because half of them fail and it's a bad idea. And
ball and chain.
don't have children because children are a waste of resources
They're
and
a
we're
burden.
overpopulated and they're a burden.
Yeah. You can't have fun anymore.
That's right. Oh. See this, I can go on and on, but I don't have time. So confusion and rudderlessness that's what that causes. It leads right into anxiety. The third one, instant gratification. We are living in an instant culture. You have DoorDash, Uber Eats, Amazon Prime, one click to your door every day. You have Netflix, you have swipes on social. Everything is instant.
You don't have to wait for anything.
There's no more waiting till next Tuesday for the next episode to come on.
Let's all watch them today.
Let's all watch it binge today. Binge watching is literally what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We are breeding a generation that is instantly gratified in every area. Let me ask you, what makes for a great investor?
Yeah. Patience.
Delayed gratification.
Yeah. Big time.
What makes for a great husband or wife?
Ugh.
Delayed gratification. You need to learn to sacrifice in marriage.
Lots of grace.
What makes for a great parent? Sacrifice, delaying it. In fact, parenting makes you great in all the hard ways, but it's all the ways you've wanted to become all along, and you have to do it through sacrifice, okay? Because there's no other choice. Our job is to do a thankless thing for decades because we love them and we're going to sacrifice and delay the gratification. How on earth are we training our children up in any of those ways with an instant world? You see the force?
Absolutely.
That's where the fragile comes from. That's why courage, we teach the courage series to solve that force. See, fragile is a big deal. And then the last one that I think is fascinating. It's the information revolution, the AI revolution. You ready for this? So let's talk about information doubling. Have you guys heard about this? Information doubling speed. It used to be 100 years, all right? So before the Gutenberg printing press, information doubled every 100 years. All the knowledge in the world, all the data, all the written things, all the things people were learning.
This is Moore's Law, yeah?
Yep. Then it went to when the internet came. Okay, so it was it was 25 years when the Gutenberg printing press came out. It got collapsed by 4, okay? Then the internet comes out. 80s, 90s, 2000s, it really ripped. Google comes out. That dropped to a year. Every year, all the information and knowledge and data points in the world doubles, okay? So let's just talk about that for a second. Now, if information's doubling every year, we have had problems now for decades where medical residents graduate in their 30s with $500,000 of debt, and then immediately half the things they learned over their education are irrelevant.
Yeah.
There are new double-blinded, placebo-controlled studies that literally contradict what they learned.
That's right.
Yep.
So how the heck does a degree work now? Before AI comes out, this was the problem even 3 or 4 years ago. 82% of college graduates do not use their degree in their work.
82, huh?
Wow.
I knew that was
56% of college students go to college, start getting debt, and they don't graduate. Okay, I'm not making a slap against college. I'm saying they better catch up quick or they're going to be left in the dust, right? These are big problems, but now AI comes out. In the last 2 years alone, information went down from doubling every year to 13 hours
13 hours.
And it's going down.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Every 13 hours, all the data, all the information and knowledge and clips and everything around the world. The explosion of the internet is expanding at a rate that doubles every
Exponential.
That's insane.
13 hours. What does that now? That's crazy in its own right. All right. But what does that do to a kid? What does that do to a teenager who's trying to think about their career?
Yeah. It's deflating.
Immediate overwhelm, an immediate feeling of obsolete. They feel obsolete. They're like, what do I do? Because my job is not even going to be, it hasn't even been created yet.
Let me back you up, Scott. I'll go on to find something to watch with my wife sometimes at night, and there's so many options, we don't choose anything.
Exactly.
There's a term for that. What's that? There's a term.
It's like choice fatigue or something like that.
There's a term. for
Paralysis by
information.
analysis. Yeah.
I mean, so that's literally happens.
Same here.
I said that because I know people listening
Yeah.
have done that. You go on. When I was a kid, we had channels and we watched something every night.
And commercials.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when I
6.
could afford my first video cassette as a young 17-year-old, moved out on his own, and I had 11 video cassettes, and I watched those 11 movies
Every night you knew what you were going to watch.
Yes, it was such an easy.
Now I go on. I'm going through, and my wife's like, "It's been 30 minutes. We haven't picked anything.
Yeah.
It's almost time for bed."
You watch a bunch of trailers of shows, and then you turn it off. I've been there too.
Yeah, it's happened so many times.
It's a wild thought though.
And I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I'm not a teenager.
Oh, these forces are for all of us. They just have a different impact on children whose prefrontal cortexes are not developed.
No. In fact, what'll happen is their brain is, because it's so plastic, is going to develop around these inputs.
Yep.
It's a brain developing with 800 times the dopamine hits. It's a brain developing with fear and anxiety and, but I also decide my own whatever. And you actually have a brain that models itself around this, which is far worse.
That's right. So when you add up all those emotions and feelings and things I just said, fragile, confused, overwhelmed, isolated, addicted, like issues, that's what we call the anxious era. We're in the anxious era.
Scott, I have to take it back to faith because I saw a study that showed there was a huge study. Well, there's two things that are happening that I'd love to ask you about. One of them is there was a study on what was the most protective thing for kids when it came to this anxiety and depression that we're seeing this explosion of. And what they found was the kids that have the strongest faith, the ones that go to church, read the Bible, whose parents have these morals with them or this practice with them, they had the best protection. Of all the factors, it was that.
Yeah.
The second part of this question is it's undoubtedly we're now seeing a revival. But this is a different revival than we've seen in modern history because for the first time ever, the younger generation is going to church more and reading the Bible more than the older generation. So Gen Z is doing it more than millennials and Gen X.
Yep.
And
miracle.
For the first time in modern history, it's led by young men. Typically, it's the women that were leading it. So is that all connected? Is it because kids are themselves are like, I need some structure?
They're desperate for truth. Kids are because of this anxious era that's been caused over the last decade. Kids are hungry for connection. They're hungry for meaning. They're hungry for truth. They're hungry for something real and tangible that can get them out of the nightmare. You guys know this. When the pain gets bad enough, you will do whatever it takes to get out of the pain.
That's right.
And that is what anxiety and mental health is causing in the young generation. Okay? This is the first generation ever where parents are more worried that their teenagers will kill themselves than die in a car wreck.
That's wild.
Is that true? Is that true?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yes.
That's interesting.
That is the
Scary.
fear now. It's wild, this anxious era. And this is all we focus on every day because our 4 C's were created to directly fight those 4 forces. And yes, faith is such a big deal. Like, just think about it for a minute. If you can trust that God has your back, if you can trust that God has a plan, your fears go away.
Oh,
Okay? If you're serving somebody, you can't worry. There's mental health issues just start to dissipate when you're in service of somebody else, because now you're showing you're valuable to them.
this is a secular data fact, by the way. Anybody listening right now, look at the data on this.
Yes.
I know this. I'm very familiar with
I'm
it.
giving you just general principles here.
Right.
But I think this is why there's such a revival going on in faith. People are hungry for this. They don't want rudderlessness. They want meaning. They can't just look around and be like, is this all that it is? Is this all I'm supposed to feel? Is this all? Like, this is terrible. There's got to be something more. And then they start looking, and then they find him. They find the Lord.
I just talked about this study recently on the podcast. It was a huge study, 114,000 people. And what it found was, and I love this study because it's so simple, that exercise was 1.5 times more effective for depression and anxiety than therapy and medication. Exercise.
Yeah.
Aimless exercise. I'm not trying to I'm just working out.
Anything. Errands, by the way. Get out of your house and be active. That actually releases the counteracting chemicals that can actually get you doing something that relieves the anxiety and the stress.
Do you think we've gotten too deep? Because we're also the most therapized society in all of history.
Oh man, don't get me started.
And one of the hallmarks of depression is that self-ruminating, thinking about myself. Why am I this? And what's my triggers? And why am I? And just twist. Whereas exercise is not that. It also improves your physical health, which your brain is a part of. What do you think about that?
Man. Here's what I think. Anxiety is a sin to repent of, not an emotion to medicate out of.
It's going to piss some people off.
Well,
there goes your comments.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. We have medicated ourselves and band-aided ourselves without going to the core.
I think it's the most common command in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken. Do not fear.
Do not worry. Do not fear.
I think it's repeated more than almost anything else in there.
Yeah. Worry and hurry are the enemy of faith. They're the enemy of all trust. It is literally the opposite. The evil one, if he can get us worried and scared and anxious as much as humanly possible, he knows he can rip us away from God. And Jesus literally said, refuse to worry. Don't just know about it and try not to. Refuse to do it. And that is different. You mentioned this earlier, ruminating, right? This is my problem with a lot of therapy, okay? I think therapy is good. I think it's important to unpack things, but without a solution to it, without working on solutions and problem solving and getting past it and not making it your identity, without that, it becomes your identity. You ruminate on something.
Yeah.
And when you ruminate on a problem, guess what? It grows. When you worry more about something, it gets bigger. Not in the real world, but in your brain, in your mind. It takes over, right? This is why Jesus said, refuse to worry. Do not be hurried. Do not be worried. Those things rip you away from me. Trust. Have peace. I got it. I have a plan for you. It's a good one. Who of you by worrying can add a second to your life? You can't.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the greatest lessons that I've learned recently in my crazy life, giving up businesses and all the nuts things that God's shown me, the biggest lesson I've learned is surrender versus performance. Can I unpack this for a second?
Yeah.
Not only that, maybe the way you set the table, because at one point I want to get to this about the business. And if that's where you're going, maybe you set the table with...
Yeah, I'll give you some details.
Yeah, your business journey, because I don't know a lot about that. I imagine my audience doesn't know about the success that you've had in business and then what you've decided to do recently.
Now, you guys want to get even wilder? How wild do you want to get right now?
Let's hear it.
We'll go as hard as you want, my friend.
Let's go all in.
All right, let's go all in. Now, we'll still talk about family and parenting and legacy. I love that. But there's deeper kingdom principles here at work. And if you get these, it'll help your family. Do you know what mammon is? So in the Bible, Jesus says something. You can't serve two masters.
Right.
This is in Matthew 6 and Luke 16. He says you can't serve both God and mammon is the word he uses. We think it's money. It was translated to money. But if you look at the Greek, he actually used a pronoun. He didn't say money. He says, you can't serve two masters. You'll love one, you'll hate the other. You'll be loyal to one, you'll despise the other. You can't serve both God and mammon. It is a capital letter pronoun. So now you got to ask, what the heck is mammon?
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was till I did deep research on this. Mammon is what Pharaoh called himself.
Oh.
the god of wealth and power and influence. Mammon is one of the worst chief princes of hell you could ever imagine on the face of this planet. Mammon is the insatiable hunger for more. Mammon is greed and avarice and never having enough. You always have to have more. It's never good enough. I gotta have more. I gotta have more. Every entrepreneur struggles with this one, by the way. Mammon has you running on a rat wheel because you'll never be content. Mammon is what causes extraction mindset, workaholism, rat wheel life, slavery, actually. It's never enough. Let me give you an example. Something goes bad in the business. Something goes bad in the gym. Something goes bad financially. If your first thought is how much money's in the account, how many months can we live off of, how long do we got, how much security do we have, what's our backup there financially, you're serving mammon. Instead of surrendering and literally handing it, putting it in God's hands and saying, I'm just a steward. You're in charge. See, mammon can give you the world. Mammon can give you wealth. Mammon can give you money and power and influence and achievement and all these things. But it will never give you peace. Because mammon demands performance. You are going to continue to perform and it's never going to be enough. And this is where we sacrifice our children. They used to sacrifice babies to mammon in the Babylonian times and the Syrophoenician times, and then thank God that stopped, sort of.
Did it?
But today it didn't. No. Think about it.
We just do it in a different way.
How many people
all been
are
rebranded.
serving the idol of work and career and money and success and workaholism and achievement and sacrificing their kids, their marriages, their families in the process? Child sacrifice is alive and well. And it will never give you peace. It will only give you toil. That's what mammon does. That's why Jesus said, you can't serve both God and mammon. Pick your master. But when you surrender, that's the answer. When you surrender to God, you immediately, instead of having to be in control, which mammon makes you feel like you have to be in control, you have to solve it, you have to get
That's
there,
right.
You're now complete. And you immediately have peace. You have contentment. You're surrendered. You have trust. That's the basis of faith. And then, here's the most beautiful part. God can now run on your behalf. When you're fully surrendered, now God can work on your behalf. He can send his angels out concerning you. He's your rear guard, it says in Scripture. He paves the path ahead of you while you're surrendered and at peace. Doesn't mean you sit around lazy like a sloth and do nothing. No. You're just surrendered to his will and what he wants you to do next. Do you see the difference in living that this gives you?
Totally.
You immediately let go of your fists around everything. Whew. Peace. And the most beautiful thing about that, don't you guys think that God could do 1,000 times more on our behalf than we could ever do on our own?
Infinitely.
Okay? The most beautiful thing about this way of thinking is that now all these things just start to get laid out before you. Things you never imagined would happen. And guess who gets the glory? God.
Mm-hmm.
He can't work on your behalf if you're serving mammon, if you're performing and having all the control. He doesn't get the glory that way. He's in the break room waiting for you to surrender. So that's the difference. So you told me to go deep.
No,
It's
I
your
love
fault.
it. You reminded me of,
no,
I
it's great.
hope I'm talking about the right guy. I think it was Gideon, if I'm not mistaken, where he was told to raise up an army and God said, no, he had 30,000 men. He said, too big,
Chop it down.
chop it down. He brought it down to 10,000. No, it's too big. Brought it down to 300.
300.
And he's like, why are you sending me out to fight this impossible battle with 300 people?
The ones who lapped up the water with their mouths.
Yeah. And
Like,
he
let's get
said,
those
so
guys.
that when you win, everyone knows it was me.
That's right.
And not you. So sometimes he takes things from you so that when you come out the other end, you're like, oh, that wasn't me.
And that's what happened to me. It's exactly what happened to me. I have been Mr. Pursuit for 20 years. 10 companies, exits, IPOs, failures. Like, guys, I've been up and down the chain many times.
What do you think
And when I finally surrendered, everything changed.
Because you had such a good upbringing and such a great example and this family heritage, I'm sure, and you're a self-aware guy, what was it that was driving you to keep reaching that? You think it was like because you wanted to live up to grandpa or surpass? Like what caused you to chase that?
Drive.
Just
I never really had any of those
competitive
family issues.
win.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I like winning.
Yeah.
I didn't realize before how much I was looking sideways instead of looking up. I actually believe that there's no such thing as competition. Competition is only comparison. See, I'm not talking about sports or working out. That's play. But competition drives us to try to beat and compare to everybody else. Either they're better than me and I got to beat them. They got to lose. I got to win. I got to get better. I'm jealous. I'm envious. I'm fearful if they're too good. See, this is just comparing. Yeah. So we're going to kill ourselves in our company and beat the competition and trounce everybody else. Okay? Or they're not as good as you and you can look down on them with pride and ego. Say, thank God I'm not like those people. You're still competing. Okay? This is not real. All competition is just comparison. Do you know what I think the kingdom principle is supposed to be? I think in the kingdom, compassion drives you. Compassion is the fuel. Compassion is the love for your customer, not trying to kill another company doing the same thing. Compassion is loving a friend or another mom or another family near you instead of trying to look better, have more money, have better cars, have better stuff. My kids are better than yours. See, comparison is what? The thief of all joy. Yeah. Unfortunately, we have raised children to compete, but all they're really doing is comparing. Sports is not that. Sports is having fun, like playing. You can learn discipline that way. Winning and losing, it's a great thing. But what happens the moment you tie your identity to winning?
Yeah, that can happen in sports too.
That's it. It is.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to cheat to win.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to trounce everybody else. Now I'm just going to compare.
And then what do I do when I'm old?
I've always framed it though as competing with myself, right? Even the way I look at the way we operate.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. That's a good thing.
Because even the way I look at, because I think you can fall into that trap of comparing to others and other. Like when I look at our business every year, and we're 10 years running, and I talk about it all the time. Like I'm competing with last year. I'm competing with myself, with us, with what we like, not looking outward of, oh, well, that business is doing this.
But why?
Huh?
But why?
To make me a better version of myself. It forces me to grow and learn.
For what purpose?
Well, yeah. So that's, should be for him, for his glory.
For your family?
Yeah.
For your clients? For the listeners? That's really, I know where your heart is.
No, that's not true.
But you're driven by that.
So it's also, no, that's not true. I just actually had this conversation with Kyle yesterday, one of our really good employees. I said, the thing that motivates, and he was asking me why I no longer cared about building a $100 million company. That used to be my goal in my 20s. I said, I don't care about that because I realized that I have all the things that I ever needed for myself and my life and my family. My family is secure. Now what drives me is seeing me help you or anybody else that's in our company that has goals like that. That serves way more of a purpose for me to help this thing. If it stays the same forever for me, I'm fine.
You just defined compassion.
Yeah.
You literally just defined it. You got to the heart of it.
Yeah.
So many entrepreneurs, so many people in the workplace are so busy. I got to hit this because someone somewhere told me that I got to want to be a billionaire. I had the same goals, man. Billions, hundreds of millions. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit this award, Inc. 500, like all the stuff. And all I was really doing was trying to get rankings in competition, looking good to my friends and like all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What you just said, that's a heart of compassion.
Yeah.
I think compassion-driven companies always win over competition-driven companies.
Yeah.
Because the compassion-driven companies don't waste time and energy on what other people are doing. Mm-hmm. They're focused solely on their teams and their customers and their audience. Mm-hmm. And they're driving into what they need, how we can love them and serve them and meet their needs. That's where all their energy's going. They're not worried about what other people are doing. They end up lasting longer and having more results. The competition-driven companies have cutthroat. They have dog-eat-dog cultures. They see people as cogs in a machine. You are an expense to me, not an investment. We're going to do everything we can to kill and murder the competition. What are you talking about? If there's another company in the world trying to serve the same people you're trying to serve and solve their problems, Lord bless them. Thank God. We need more people trying to solve this problem because you guys have devoted your lives to care about a problem, to help people. Thank God there's other people helping people get healthy. See, that's a compassionate heart. But when you're competition driven, what does that lead to? In business, fraud, cutthroat practices, Ponzi schemes, shortcuts, scandals, affairs. Like the list just goes on and on and on. See, this is why is competition, can it be healthy? If you're playing and you're having fun, if you're wanting to get better, 1% better every day, that's not what I'm talking about. That's play. That's a good thing. That's learning discipline. But I think instead of just competing all the time, we should think about compassion. It keeps you from all those problems I just described. It keeps you from making winning the identity. And it's a kingdom principle, right?
You brought up sports. I think the best example of that in sports is when you have two teams doing their best. At the end, one of them wins, but you see respect in both of them. They both look at each other and they go, "Oh man, great battle."
Yeah.
Like and everybody loves that. Everybody loves to see that.
Well,
you guys know what I'm talking about. You're doing a WOD against someone else. You're working out your plan. You don't hate the person. You don't want them to get hurt or trounced or be No, you're just playing. You're having fun.
Yeah.
Win or lose, it doesn't have any bearing on your identity.
Right.
Good game.
Right.
Well, I think the most valuable thing that sports give is actually all the great lessons within the game of getting better or winning, right? It's all the overcoming adversity. It's actually the losses. It's the losses where you win the most.
Yeah.
You know, when you really think about in sports. And if you're going to be really good and really grow, you have to accept the losing part and not identify with I'm a loser. It's like, no, it's a great opportunity for me to improve and get better. And to me, that's the best lesson from sports that we could get is that.
Tell me about your surrender. That you had said that earlier, that you had been chasing, you were stuck on that performance, and then you learned to surrender. You said it took you something like 20 years. What happened?
Something died. Last November, we felt the Lord call, my wife and I felt the Lord call us to just hand over our business. Just lay it up on the altar. There was some things I felt like he wanted me to talk about, some of the stuff we're talking about today that I wasn't able to do. It was an incredible company, $50 million company, loved it, built it up from the ground up. And there was some restrictions and issues and attacks. And the Lord just said, how much do you trust me? Put it on the altar. You don't put losses on the altar. You put gifts on the altar. And then watch what I do. How much do you trust me? And so ultimately, I said, I do trust you. And we gave it all up. We handed over the equity. It was 8 figures.
Just walked away from it?
Yeah. Retired it. I mean, it's a great company. It was 40,000 families, like growing, successful. It's not like a failing company. It's a good company.
Yeah.
I love it. I still to this day. It's a great company.
Is without giving up details that you can't talk about, was it did you guys getting to 50 million? I imagine you might have. Did you eventually take on money and give a board? Okay, so you
raised
took on
a lot of money.
So this is what happens a lot of times.
Had a board.
So you had a board, and so you had people to answer to.
Yeah, and I just felt really led to be talking about some of these deep issues of family and legacy and faith and all these things. And ultimately said, "How much you trust me? Can you surrender? Can you take your firm, tight grip on this behemoth and let it go?"
How did you hear that voice? What did it sound like?
It was through prayer, and it was a nudging of the Holy Spirit. And it was confirmed through my wife and I.
So she's like, I feel the same thing.
Yeah. And then we had a couple mentors pray with us, and they felt the same, trepidly, to be honest. And then sought the Lord in Scripture, because I believe that that's the living, active Word of God, sharper than a two-edged sword. Like, I've had 1,000 circumstances in my life where the Lord speaks straight through a verse that I open to. I've done this. I've played Bible roulette, and that happened. And it went straight to God and Mammon. And not worrying. Follow the Lord. On your deathbed, you'll be glad. So we gave it up. We gave up the millions we put into it. We gave up the social media. I went to 0 last year. Like, we gave up all the social. I had no followers last year. I just went into the cave, gave up our best-selling book, gave up the domains, the IP. We just handed it all over, said, go with God. We love this mission, serve people. We're called to this.
Is that why I saw your following go from like, you had a huge following, then now you're back down to like 60-something thousand or whatever? Is that what happened? You switched? Oh, wow. I wonder what happened.
We handed it over.
Because I'd been following you longer than that.
We changed the usernames, and that's fine. Like, we gave it up. I want them to be successful.
Yes.
It's a great company. They're focused on helping families create value and financial literacy and teaching all these gigs. I love it.
So walk me through this so I understand.
Were they like, yeah, cool, thanks for giving it to us? Or were they like, you're crazy, what are you doing?
Well, I'm sure they actually
There's a
probably
mix.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they wanted you still. You built it. So I'm okay, walk me through this.
And the agreement was, I'm going to go off and work on faith and family and legacy stuff and help people. And then they're going to focus on what they're focusing on, and everything's good.
Okay, so
publicly, that's what we say, and everything is good. Like, I have no issues with them.
Okay, so step.
But yes, it sounds crazy. I'm not going to lie.
So okay, step me through this. Because I totally know exactly what probably happened or how this could happen. I mean, we're in a place like that, right? We could have the opportunity to take on. I get emails every day of people trying to give us money to scale this thing even bigger and faster. And one of the reasons why we don't is we don't ever want to give control or ever be censored on what we say. We've talked about this since day one, that we always want to be able to speak our minds and have the conversations that are on our heart that we feel like. And we never want to give that up even for X amount more money. But let's say I did, or we did, and then, it takes it to 50 million or 100 million. And then I realize we're being censored, and then we're going to walk away. But I feel like if I were to do that, I would still cash out and then just give it up. I wouldn't just hand it completely over. So you got to step me through that thought process, because I feel like you could still serve him and still give up. And by the way, walking away from a $50 million machine is, no matter whether you cash out or not cash out, incredibly difficult to do no matter what. So
yeah, why the no cash out?
Why the let's?
Because we didn't want to, like, it's one thing to be like, well, I'm going to get my due from this, or I'm gonna I'll just stay, keep it all, and you guys grow and I'll get the benefit later.
Yeah.
We felt the Lord telling us full stop.
Wow, that's powerful.
Make sure that the investors and everybody gets full benefit, and retire your shares.
You said something interesting, that you don't put losses on the altar.
You put gifts.
You put gifts. So this is Cain and Abel. This is,
It's Abraham and Isaac.
Abraham and Isaac, even more. It was your child.
Yeah. It was terrifying. I'm not going to lie. I didn't do it happily.
What happened after?
Yeah.
You said a bunch of miracles happened after.
Yeah. So I'll just give you a few of them. So we did it, not expecting anything. So this is the thing. You don't give to get.
It's not a gift.
No, you're not
It's not a gift
God.
if you give it with anything expecting in return.
Yeah, my
right?
mentor said this to me that really helped me after this happened. He said, look, many are gifted, but few are anointed because of the cost of the oil.
Wow.
Many are gifted, but few are anointed because of the cost of the oil.
It's a powerful line.
It is. It changed my whole framing of my life. And since that moment, what's happened in my life has proved that true in countless ways.
Wow, that fast already.
Oh my goodness, yes. I'll just give you a few crazy things that happened. So the day after we gave it up, we owed $86,000. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hope Lord,
You're
you're in charge, because I surrendered it all.
Wow.
And I'm like, maybe we have to get a HELOC where we're going to try to sell some stock stuff, margin more. We were already millions margined on our stock to even do the other stuff before. So it's not like I gave it up and was like, now we're good. I gave it up and we had issues. Buddy calls me, my friend John. He goes, hey, remember that investment in the veterinary clinics from years and years ago. We didn't know if they were working or not. Well, they're working. Here's the first distribution, 86 grand.
Shut
Exactly.
up. Shut your face.
To the
Shut your
dollar,
face.
$10.
I've heard a few stories exactly like this.
86 grand?
To the dollar.
Oh,
Wow.
God, it gives me chills.
That's rad.
Next day, my CPA calls me because you're not going to believe it. Remember that the double tax that the Arizona Department of Revenue took from us a couple years ago that we've been fighting to get back, and they just went dark, and they admitted they took 150 grand or whatever it was. They never paid us back. He goes, check your account. So like 2 years before, Wells Fargo drained our checking to nothing. We're like, is this even legal? How is this happening? And they fought forever, and then they went dark, and everyone just kind of gave up for a while until maybe the next tax season we'd try again. Hit our account second day. Wow. Which covered another debt that we owed.
Wow.
Third day, get a call from a guy, gave his life to the Lord the night before from our conversation. Big tech company. I made one introduction and it turned into like this crazy license deal with them. Huge win. He goes, my wife and I gave our lives to Christ from your conversation. And we prayed this morning for the first time, and we felt the Lord tell us to give you 150,000 shares of our company.
No way.
At penny warrants.
Wild.
Now, let me be clear. God is not a slot machine.
No.
You don't put quarters in hoping to get dollars out. Nobody gives to get. When we put things on altars, we are putting them in for the Lord, even if none of this happened.
Yeah, because you don't know what his will is.
No, I don't know what his will is. His will is not for everyone to be millionaires and billionaires. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you the miracles that happened in my life.
Right.
The next day I get a call from a very prominent, I won't say who, very prominent organization in the world with great faith-based leaders. You can probably guess a few of them. They're very, very well known. They asked me to run the whole thing. They're like, you're one of the greatest leaders we've ever met. We want you to run our entire massive organization. And it was the honor of a lifetime. And I went, well, I'm doing this new thing where I surrender fully. And I have a gold medal in running headlong after things that God did not tell me to do. So I'm going to pray. I'm honored. I thank you. I needed to hear this. I think maybe the reason was I needed to hear this from you. Thank you so much. Because I've been in the dumps. I think I'm the worst, this has been so hard. So ultimately I didn't take that, but I needed to know the Lord was sharing it. Next day, somebody huge at the Department of Ed reaches out. They're like, we saw your content, the old content. They didn't even know I gave it all up. Yeah. They're like, we saw your content. We are interested in potentially if you want to help us run the Department of Education and what the future of this looks like. We're going to dismantle it from the feds. And like the list just goes on of this kind of stuff.
That's wild.
I said the same thing to them. Billionaire organizations asking me to do the same, like crazy stuff. A few days later, massive earnout of an old exit of a business that covered our margin on our stock. Covered the margin, like almost the dollar. Covered it, millions, covered it. So within like a week, we were whole. And I'm just like, spinning, like, how good are you, Lord? You take care of everything. You take care of the lilies of the field, the birds of the air. Why would I ever worry? And I've had more peace, more joy, more rest, and more of God's paving the way that I could never imagine since that happened than any time in my life combined. And I have gone many, many years in businesses, rat race, like hustle, drive, 100-hour weeks, sleepless nights, pain, like very difficult stuff. And I think that I'm going to stay in the surrender model because it's a beautiful life. Right after this happened, a few months after this happened, my wife, Amy, she's an angel. We haven't had it easy. We've had struggles, 4 little kids, lots of businesses. You can imagine it's crazy. For the first time in our marriage, she gave us a 10 out of 10. Usually it's like, yeah, we're doing good, like 7, 8. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. She goes like, we're at a 10. This is awesome. Miracle. With little kids. I mean, it's just never had more time with my kids, never had more being in tune with the Holy Spirit, never had such a wild amount of trust, never been so bold to talk about Jesus, actually. Never in my life. And not in a way that's like, you have to do this, you have to do this. It's like, hey, I think this can help you. Can I pray for you?
That's great.
And seeing breakthroughs in other people's lives where they get to meet the real Jesus, not the religion, do this, do that stuff that everybody's traumatized about. The real Jesus that loves us unconditionally, that gave his life for us, for us to receive it as a free gift. It cost him his life. That's the power of God. And when we receive him, the Holy Spirit enters our hearts. He enters it. He's the helper, the healer. He can help us. This is such a blessing. I don't know why everyone doesn't do it.
Oh.
It's an unbelievable blessing in someone's life if they just open themselves up to it. But we are so quick to close ourselves off and serve our own way, perform ourselves out of it.
Do you think the 2 calls from the big companies were a test?
Yes. They were both a test and an encouragement.
Right.
And it wasn't just 2. There's been 8. Massive things. And each time I go into prayer on it. Oh, it happened. You guys, it's his nonstop surrender. It's such a fun way to do it. So a few months ago, we had a property manager steal a bunch of money from us up in Washington. And I was about to do detective, like get a personal investigator and see what they're doing. It's probably like they're robbing multiple people. You know, I knew that was probably what's going on. And we go to church. I sent a text. I'm like, hey, I just found this out. Next steps, I'll figure out tonight what I'm going to do next with this. But I just want to let you know, I know. I go to church, pray about it, but I'm in surrender mode. And I read in scripture, it was about loving your enemies. It was about giving to those who want from you. Give them like your tunic as well. I was like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do here? Start praying. And I'm quiet for a minute. Holy Spirit's like, if he comes clean tonight by like 9:30, forgive the whole debt. I'm like, okay. 9:00 that night, he sends me a long text. I did it. 100% responsible. And I'm sorry. And I was my mom died, taking care of 2 homes with my ex, all these crazy things. I will get half the money for you tomorrow and I'll try to figure out the other half and blah, blah. Respond text. Hey, so God told me this morning at church that if you came clean, I'm just going to forgive you your whole debt. So you're totally forgiven. You never owe me a dime. You're good, man. Thanks for telling me the truth. Go with God. Take care of your family. Make sure you don't do this again.
Wow.
Go and sin no more. Guy totally comes clean, gives his life over to Jesus.
Wow.
So dude, that stuff's happened like crazy.
Wow.
I needed we were 20 grand shy on our bills like a couple months ago. And because we're supporting the anti-trafficking, we're doing, I'm still giving. Mm-hmm. And I'm just waiting for the Lord. It's like, you either do it or I go broke, whatever you want. And we're 20 grand shy on the donations and then like the team, because we're building some of our new family content. We're just getting going with it again. Get a text. I was like, all right, Lord, totally surrender. You're up to you. Next morning, I get a DM on Instagram. Random group wants me to speak and headline the conference for 20 grand. They offered me 30. And I was like, actually, no, just 20 is good. How wild is that? Because I was praying while I was talking to him. And you guys, I'm just saying, there's a whole nother levels to this like faith thing. But if you get clear on the kingdom of heaven, if you get clear, like all that matters is God's rule and reign and his love for us, like flooding this world.
Well,
it'll change your life.
I am so happy that you feel free to speak that way and communicate the things that you are good at talking about with kids and families, but not feel censored to talk about the most important things. And I think that's a complete gift. I think that's a total gift.
It's so freeing.
Yeah. That's awesome. This has been an unexpected but amazing podcast. Yeah.
A lot of topics.
Radical.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been great, man. Good. And it's cool to see. I can't wait to see where you're going to go with all this.
It's in God's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just launched a couple weeks ago our Fig and Eagle program. So we're calling it Mentor Family, actually. So Mentor Family is basically the coach versus caretaker kind of idea. But I think families, there's 2 reasons why you need to learn the mentor family approach, which is all the best strategies we've learned from the top. Number 1, you got to learn to mentor your kids, because if you don't mentor these things and transfer them and translate them well, instead of just teaching and telling, then it dies with you. all of the stuff, the important stuff, right? So mentorship is critical for future generations, but mentorship is also critical for the families around you. Does that make sense? I think it's the call of every good family in the world to be mentoring other families along the way. So that's why we call it Mentor Family. So Fig and Eagle, Mentor Family. Our goal is 10,000 families. I think we'll make a huge impact with that across the world.
I love it. I love the idea.
So great.
So
man.
great.
Yep.
Scott, it's been awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend.
Hopefully it won't be the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll think we'll have you back. We'll have you back if you're okay with that.
Next time I'm here.
All right.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Right
my
on.
friend.
Thanks.
All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. One of the keys to fat loss is protein. It's true. If you're not eating a high protein diet, you're not going to burn as much body fat as you can. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the smartest ways to use protein for fat burn and to build muscle. You got to watch this.
I wish I understood this earlier in my career. I think it was probably almost 10 years in when I
Same.
started to just focus on this with clients.
I knew it was important,
Yeah.
but I don't know how important.
Yeah, I also did. I knew it was important, but I also didn't